Welcome back to the Expert Speaker Podcast. We have a very amazing guest. We're very fortunate to be having Susie Carder, the Profit Coach, talking to us about the relationship and changing our relationship with money. Welcome to the Expert Speaker Podcast, Susie.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for being a badass and making a difference for us as speakers, because we need more people holding the flag that we can do it. So I appreciate you.
Well, I feel so fortunate to have connected with you, and I can't wait to dive in to what you have to share with us about growing businesses. We were talking just before we pressed record, your background in growing training companies with speaking as a marketing channel, how you grew multiple 7 and even 8-figure businesses and even were able to sell them. So the podcast listeners today are going to benefit greatly. Tell us your backstory. How did you get into this business?
Well, I fell into this business and I started being a speaker because my vocation was I was a hairdresser. Okay. And I was a single mom raising 2 little girls and no child support, no alimony. Had to figure out I got to make some money because I got to pay for daycare and shoes and food. And so I'm like, how can I get in front of women quicker, faster so that I could build my business quicker, faster? I'm like, I know what I'll do. I'll just go speak to them. I'm like, holy cow, I had no idea what I was doing. I was horrible. I sucked. It was awful, right? I didn't have a system around it, but I got 5 clients that day. And I went, there's something to this.
Okay.
So, spoke to 5 women, got 50 women, got 5 women. I'm like, all right, let me figure out how to do this. And did it really as a marketing venue. And so I built
5 hairdressing clients?
5 hairdressing clients.
Okay.
So I was speaking on image and professionalism and why you need to invest in your well-being and your beauty. And because we know that if women who professionally do their hair and makeup earn on average 10% more than women who don't. So
what was the venue of this how to style yourself speech?
I knocked on doors on corporations because they had they still do them, right? Lunch and learns. So I'm like, where can I find women who could afford my services, right? Because that's the caveat. You got to find that ideal client.
Up to the office. You literally walked in and said, "Hi, I would like to give a presentation. Can we do that?" And you spoke to someone.
Yeah, the HR consultant, right? The HR manager. Walked in off the street. Like I looked in my community. This is back in the day, like before Google. Like you had to go in. You remember the yellow pages? You had to flip in the yellow pages to find corporations. And then I would go knock on the door, scared to death, right? I didn't even think about what I would talk about. I just said, I need to be in front of them. Here's what I could do. Here's what it would be fun and engaging. And she said, yes. I said, okay.
Okay.
Now, the funny thing is the day of, I was so scared, throwing up, going to the bathroom, just like, I can't do this. Like this, what was I thinking? The number 1 fear in life is public speaking. Number 2 is death by fire. So most people would rather burn in hell than get on a stage.
Yeah.
That talks a little bit about all of our personalities out there. We're a little crazy, right? But fun. So I built a $250,000 business as a hairdresser. The average hairdresser back then was doing $30,000. So I looked at like, wow, why are not more people doing this in this industry? Now, again, 15% of your financial success is your technical ability. The other 85% is all the business, strategy, sales, marketing, operations, finance. And so because I had to create money and build my own, sanity and take care of my family, I had to figure out how to do that consistently. It couldn't be like, I had a great day, I had a shitty day. No, I had to be really consistent. And I found speaking was the way that I could get clients fast. I didn't have to do this long networking, those networking meetings where you go for 100 times and you might get 1 client. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I got to get some stuff done. So from being making $250,000 as a hairdresser, people are like, how are you doing this? I'm like, well, let me teach you. So then I started in the beauty industry doing cluster classes for my distributor sales consultants and went into salons and spas and started teaching how do you build a business. And they're like, Susie, oh my God, I love what you do. Do you have a book? I'm like, no, I'm a hairdresser. They're like, if you had a book, we would buy it. I'm like, okay, that's nice, but I'm a hairdresser. I'm not going to write a book. So I wrote a book,
Right.
which took me forever. And I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know how to do that. There was not like, we didn't have experts like you, right? We didn't have experts, people teaching you how to write a book back then. It was just like, I don't know how to do this. How do you do it? So, you know, I'm one of those people that don't tell me no, just tell me how, right? Just give me, I'm the Xerox machine. Just show me how to do it and I will do it. The interesting thing, back then, there was only one publisher in the beauty industry and I got denied by that publisher, right? They were like, yeah, we're not interested. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, well, now what do I do? They're not interested. I'm like, well, I'll just start my own publishing company. So I created my own publishing company, published 9
Wow.
books under that, created
Susie
product.
Carder, what a come up story. Single mom hairdresser turns speaker because she had to, not because she wanted to. The reluctant hero
The
turns.
millionaire. If I can do it, you can do it. That's why I'm saying I did not have the
Wow.
kind of resources that we have available today.
So
So,
you
but wait, the
became an
story gets
author.
better. You
Became
want to
a
hear the
publisher.
create my own publishing company. We publish all our works under that. And the funny thing is I didn't have a strategy to build the business. Just clients would come to me like, oh my gosh, I love that. Do you have that? Could you sell that to me? I'm like, you want my system? I just was sharing. They're like, yeah, I want that. How much would you pay for that? They're like, I don't know. I'd pay $400. I'm like, okay, I'll sell that. That's how
Okay.
every product in that business started
Right.
because I didn't know. I didn't have a strategy. I was just like wanting to serve and wanting to make a difference and wanting to give back. I don't recommend that strategy now. I say that. I teach what I teach now because I was a ding dong. How much money did I leave on the table because I just didn't know,
Yeah.
right? And we can't not know. I left hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table from nothing. You know, that same publisher, here's the caveat, that same publisher that denied me 15 years later bought my business for $10 million. So the same person that rejected me, right? I always say that man's rejection is God's protection, right? So back then they're like, nah, we don't want you. 15 years later, cha-ching. Juicy, juicy.
Amazing. So you became a publisher, you sold your business for $10 million. And now you're on a mission, not because you have to, but because you want to. What's the future? What do you?
Well, now I work with entrepreneurs, right? So we built the largest training and development business in the beauty industry. We're the top 1% in the nation, top 10% in the world. And we earned that by the productivity. We earned that by the results that we did, right? We looked at how do you create a sustainable business. And I was teaching at this millionaires forum because I was learning how to raise money. You know, I raised $2 million for my own business because I was building the largest online platform for the beauty industry. We won the top technology company from Dell Computers. And again, I didn't know how to build a technology company. I just need you to know that sometimes being expert, we think we have to know everything and how to do it. No, I just need to find the right experts to help me get that result that I need. So we built the largest training and development company. When I went to this conference, it was a millionaires forum. They were teaching us how to raise money. I'm like, y'all are missing a huge piece. You're teaching people to raise money, but you're not teaching them how to build a business. They're like, well, why don't you teach that? I'm like, I don't know anything about these businesses. I just know about salons and spas. They're like, no, you teach it. You'd be really good at it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so then entrepreneurs would say, oh my God, Susie, I love what you do. Will you teach us how to do that? I'm like, no, I don't know anything about your business. I just know about this business. Like, we don't care. We love you. I'm like, no, but literally for years, no. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to get them off my back. I'm going to double my fee. I'm going to double my fee. They're not going to pay that, right? So I'm like, doubling my fee. Well, of course they said yes, right? I'm like, oh, shit, now I have to do it for this business. I know nothing about this business, right? So again, my clients pushed me into this whole new arena called entrepreneurship, right? So got into it and then realized that business is business, right? And I use speaking as a platform to grow a business. Not just to be, it's not about my ego. It's how do I get in front of the right client? How do I get in front of the ideal client? How do I get in front of the qualified client? Because the qualified client is a client that can afford us. A lot of times speakers are out speaking because that's about them. They're not looking at what percentage of the room are they selling? What's their average ticket, right? What's their conversion? That's the qualified client. Me as a speaker, if I leave and nobody's taken action, then I've wasted my time and their money. Because if someone's taking action, right, there's enrollment present. And enrollment is a dignified conversation that opens up possibilities so committedly that somebody takes action. So if I do an event and the people
whoa. That was good. That was good. Are we recording this? Can you say that again? What is enrollment?
Enrollment is a dignified conversation that opens up possibility so committedly that somebody takes action. Mm-hmm. See, it's not about sales. It's now I've said something in my message that you said, I have to have that. Right. If I don't have that, I won't have these results. You want to build a multi-million-dollar business? I need to work with you. You need to build a multi-million-dollar business? You need to take my book and you need to walk it through and do the homework inside the book, because the book is the roadmap to building a $10 million business.
Tell us about Power Your Profits, the roadmap to build a $10 million business. Tell us.
So this was my journey of bubblegum, shoestring, Band-Aid, duct tape, building a business, not knowing how to build a business, and going, there's a system and a process, right? Just like there's a system for speaking, just like there's a system for cooking, you follow a recipe. Just when you're speaking, you have a recipe for expert speakers to become expert speakers. I have a recipe. You want to build a multi-million-dollar business? Follow the process, right? So there's only 1%. This is scary. Out of all the entrepreneurs in the world, 1% hit the $1 million mark. Okay, that's ridiculous. Everyone should hit the $1 million mark, right? And there's strategies to do that. And when you take the mystery away, we can all be in the 1% club. Right? So my goal is to help my clients get in the 1% club, right? 88% of small businesses are doing $100,000. That's gross. That's gross. That's not, I'm making $100,000. That means that's what we're grossing. Okay, you can go get a job and make more than that. Yeah. Right? So my process is, let me show you what I learned the hard way. And I shared from my stupidity, my naivety, my doing it wrong, my like, how much would you pay for that? That's not a pricing strategy, but that's what we all do. How much would you pay for that? Right? You tell me how much you pay for it. It's like, oh my gosh. So really looking at what is that base price that you have to charge. When you understand what you have to charge in order to hit your goals, everything fits. Because now when somebody wants the hookup, you're like, I'm gonna give you the hookup, but I'm gonna give you bonuses as the hookup. I'm not gonna discount my fee. Because discounting my fee, then I can't pay my bills. I can't pay my overhead. And look, as a single mom raising girls, I had to learn that early, right? I can't give you the hookup. Rent is due, right? Car payment is due. Childcare is due. So you have to have that, what is that bottom line that we have to charge, right? So again, going back to enrollment when you're a speaker, if you're truly an expert speaker, my expectation financially is you close 25% of the room. If you're not closing 25% of the room, look, 5% is a gimme. The average speaker closes 10%. Okay, look, I don't know if you ever learned what average was in school, but average was a C student. Average is the best of the worst. I don't know about you, but I am not the best of the worst, right? But we need criteria, like what's that number we need to hit? So in my rooms, because I'm getting qualified people, we have a 98% closing ratio with an average ticket of $12,000 per person. I don't know. That's a pretty damn good closing ratio.
Wow, you gave the numbers and they're good.
The numbers.
Wow.
I will show you the stats. I will show you what it's done.
Wow.
Right? So I think we're, as speakers, you know, there's events that you control, there's events that you don't control. My expectation, if you go to somebody else's event, my expectation is 25% of the room. That's your minimal acceptable, right? That's the game you're playing. So I want you to set goals. Every time you go to an event to go, if there's 100 people, 25% of that room, $25, right? What's that product that you're selling? We all know a book is an expensive business card. That's all a book is. We have to have it. It's credibility. This is your PhD in your business, right? This is your master's in your business. A best-selling author allows you to charge a higher rate, right? It allows you to have more press. So you've got to have the book, but I'm not making money on a $28 book, right?
You got a big publishing deal from Simon & Schuster.
We got a big publishing deal from Simon & Schuster. And you know what? Here's the deal. I found when I really understood the game, because it's all a game. Business is a game. If you don't know the rules of the game, you're not going to win the game. Yes?
Yeah.
Like, don't hate the player.
Hate the game.
Hate the game.
There you go.
When I first realized, one of my first coaching clients outside of the beauty industry was Lisa Nichols, right? And when I met her, she was doing $80,000 a year gross, right? Single mom, raising her son. And we took that company from $80,000 a year to $10 million.
Wow.
$10 million. Because we looked at what's the game. She didn't know the game. She didn't know the rules. She didn't know. She's a phenomenal. If you know her, she's one of the best speakers on the planet. Like, I say she has the Messiah factor. The Messiah factor is somebody people just want to touch her, right? Because I'm like, dude, you have the Messiah factor. Like, people just like fall out. Just, right. Like, oh my God, it's Lisa. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So creating like that, we created 2 best-selling books. Her first book, we got $1 million book deal from. And $1 million book deal, the only other person that got $1 million book deal was Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Wow.
Right? And Lisa Nichols, right?
Yeah.
And the first African-American woman to get $1 million book deal. Wow. But here's how we got $1 million book deal. It's all marketing. It's all business. It's all strategy.
Okay.
How I got my book deal with Schuster, all marketing, all strategy. I felt like there was no Santa Claus when I learned that, right? I'm like, you mean, but we're all like, it's my book. It's so amazing. It's marketing. What's your marketing strategy? Right. How many people are you going to be in front of? What's your closing percentage? Who's your affiliates? Right? It's like when you understand the business of being a speaker, then it's like it's like the parting of the Red Seas, or like the light comes on, like, that's what it is. Wow. Sorry, I'm ping-ponging all around. I get really excited.
So you helped Lisa Nichols go from 80,000 to 10 million.
Yes.
And you are now leading your own business into your own next levels, and you're speaking for your business. You're on stages, you're on podcasts, you're on webinars. So what is your ultimate business that you want to create for yourself, Susie?
Right now, it's legacy. I want to really support the industry, right, in what I didn't know. And so I'm at a place in my life where I love when somebody gets it. Like, it's always been my passion. I started speaking really to make a difference in my industry, to show people what I had learned the hard way. And for me, I want to help entrepreneurs, right, build multi-million-dollar businesses, and not for the money, but for their livelihood, for their children and their children's children, and create a new reality of what it means to be a small business owner, right? We have the ability. What I love about being an entrepreneur is every day I get to choose. And every day I get to choose, am I going to live inside of it, or am I going to be a victim to it, right? Am I going to suffer, or am I going to create miracles? And so every day I show up at work, I get to make a difference. Every day I show up at work, I get to help somebody shift their belief system around money, shift their belief system about what's possible, open up the possibility so that our families can be unrecognizables. Our life can be unrecognizable. I have an amazing life. I grew up poor. I don't mean the kind of poor like, we didn't know we were poor. No, we knew we were poor. Right? Uh-huh. There was 9 of us. 9 kids: Bobby, Ronnie, Stevie, Terry, Joni, Shelley, Susie, Kelly, Debbie. We had 6 girls, 1 bathroom, 1,200 square feet. I have no idea where we all sat. I have no idea how we did it, right? And how my parents did it, right? But we were so poor. Like, our school shopping was the Goodwill. Our school shopping was yard sales, right? I still cannot walk into a thrift store without wanting to hurl, right? I just can't. I can't do it. Like, it just, PTSD comes up. I'm like, get me out of here. So I wanted to create something different for myself and my children. Like, there wasn't an option for me to go to college. My dad said, go get married, go get a job. I'm like, I could do both. Ding dong, hello. And so entrepreneurship gave me this vehicle. I could learn something today. So someone could learn something on this podcast, and then tomorrow or this afternoon implement it, right? I love entrepreneurship, because I don't have time to have 4 years and then implement it. I need to learn it today, implement it tomorrow, right? If you
let's do some laser implementation advice right now. I'm going to give you a specific scenario. Yes. So you're talking to now the entrepreneur who's a speaker, expert, coach, consultant. speaking here and there, getting asked to speak here and there, wants to grow the business, get some coaching clients, get some consulting clients. Maybe they're thinking about doing an online course. Maybe they want to have a membership subscription community, and they're at that $100,000 to $200,000 mark, and they got their eye on the million. What do they need to do to get to the million?
So most people don't want to do this because they think poke a needle in your eye. Kathy Kidd was a client that came to me. She was making $60,000 a year, but living out of her savings account, pulling from a retirement account to sustain her lifestyle. And when I started working with her, we took her from $60,000 a year to $1.2 million a year.
All right.
So I want you to listen, the power of just knowing and understanding to go. You can't stay ignorant to where your financial well-being is. So the first thing we have to do is you got to get really clean with where you are in your finances. What does your overhead cost you? What does your lifestyle cost you? What is your business bringing in? And where's the chasm? See, cash flow can be tricky because I can have enough cash flow coming in to pay my bills, but I'm always one, missed payment away from bankruptcy. I'm on one missed payment away from that holy crap moment, right? So let's look at where the chasm is. The second thing I need you to do is
get honest with where we're at financially. Look at the chasm between where we're at and where we want to be.
Where we're at and where we want to be.
Okay, gotcha. Right. Financially. Okay, gotcha.
So the reality, your budget, right? I don't like to say that word because people go, budget, you're not the boss of me. Budget doesn't mean you're the boss of me. Budget is freedom. Budget is freedom. So the second thing is I need you to look at a financial forecast to go, how many units do I need to sell of each thing to hit that $1 million? Right? So you need to look at how many units to go, okay, so if I need to close 10 units this month, 10 units, I need to be in front of 50 qualified people. Qualified. Qualified means not just 50 people. Qualified, meaning they have the money, they have the desire for whatever your product and service is, because a lot of us are speaking, but we're speaking to the wrong audience. I did that for years. I didn't know, like when I went into entrepreneurial space, look, I went into some wrong spaces. Like somehow, I got hired to be this group of surgeons. I'm a hairdresser, right? Any conversation about you're not smart enough, good enough, right? I don't know how I got that gig. I still how did that happen? Right? And I am being the mediator with these doctors. And I'm like, this is not my ideal client. That was not fun at all. That was so stressful and not skill set to go, okay. And I had nothing to upsell them to, right? So look at when you're speaking a podcast, like we're all virtual, a virtual event. If you're doing your Facebook Lives, making sure you're pre-qualifying who your ideal client is, sweet spot is. When we first started talking this morning, you told me exactly who your ideal client was, exactly who your listeners were. There was no gray. There was no, I think they're here or there. It's like, nope, this is who they are. This is what they're about. Make freedom and impact, right? I'm teaching them to be expert speakers, very clear. Yeah. So quit wasting your time busyness on the people that can make a decision. Look at, am I speaking in front of the all right people? Then let's look at, if I have to close people, I've got to be 50 qualified leads, right? That's 1 to 5 that I'm going to close. So I'm like, okay, we can do. So usually where entrepreneurs get stuck is they're not looking at the breakdown of how many to close the people that I need to close. Now, depending on your closing skills, like if you suck, you might need to be in front of 100 people, right, to close your 10 people. You need to start looking at that. I'm really big on what's my closing percentage. And so if I go to an event, I've had crappy events, where I've closed nothing, right? Nothing, goose egg. We've all had those events. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what worked, what didn't work? 9 times out of 10 were not my qualified buyer. They weren't my qualified buyer. Amazing people. You look at evaluations. We love her. Who cares if they love me? Right? I had to get on an airplane, stay at a hotel in a strange bed, right? By myself, right? You're by yourself, road warrior, to go, oh, I'm not making the impact in the world I want to make. At the end of the day, your work makes an impact in the world. So let's look at, where is your closing percentage right now? Is it 1%, 5%, 10%? My minimum expectation for you, if you look at that sign behind your head, is expert speaker. Expert means minimal acceptable is 25%. When I first started working with Lisa Nichols, 4% closing percentage. 4%. Sucked because she didn't want to sell. I don't want to sell. I don't want to feel pushy. That's most of us. Okay, but you can't keep doing the work that God put you here to do if you don't sell something. We have to be able to continue the work that we're given. I believe it's your assignment, whatever your assignment is. This is my assignment. My assignment is to help entrepreneurs get to that 7-8 figure mark inside of it.
Yeah, I've got a very tactical question for you. You may have a great answer for it, I imagine. A lot of the people listening here have high ticket programs. We work with a lot of health coaches that sell $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 coaching programs, functional medicine doctors. I wonder what would you recommend in terms of closing a high percentage of the room on a high-end program, whether you'd recommend a strategy call or a strategy session between the speech, or do you often sell like a buy now, fill out the credit card form today while you're at the event for a high ticket sale? How do you determine about that?
Perfect. So a high ticket sale is more intimacy, right? And it's a longer from contact to contract. Let's say if I'm at your event and we're doing a live event together, I'm not going to sell my $30,000 program. I'm going to sell maybe a $2,000 program. I might sell a $700 program, something to get them into my campus. Now, what I will do if we're there for a couple days, if you have a 3-day program and I'm there for 3 days, I'll do a VIP session in my hotel suite. I have closed more money in hotel suites. So we'll do an ask anything. We have these little postcards that you come up to the room and it says, come and ask Susie anything. And so we get a hotel suite, you come up, we sit around and we're just asking anything. How do you do this? How do you do that? And from my, how do I do this? How do I do that? I make recommendations, right? So my job is to educate, the client's job is to choose. So a high-end sale takes a little bit more finessing than a low-end sale. If I get you into my campus in a lower-end sale, right, $2,000, right? If you have 90 minutes, you can sell a $2,000 program, right? For a $2,000 program, then I get you onto my campus. When I get you into my room, I have 3 days with you. That's how I have a 98% closing.
Can I pause you for a second? I want to dive a little deeper into this concept. 90 minutes, you can sell a $2,000 program. What would you sell if you had 60 minutes, 30 minutes, and 10 minutes?
Perfect. So for 60 minutes, it depends. If it's my ideal client, I can sell a $2,000 program. Okay. Everything determines who's sitting in that chair. So when I'm looking at my event, I'm going, who's in the chair? What did they pay to get there? So if they paid $50 to get there, you're probably not going to sell a $2,000 program. If they paid $900 or more, you can sell a $2,000 program. The ticket price determines, are they qualified buyer or not? Right. In a room of 50 people, I need you guys to hear this. In a room of 50 people, I can close $500,000 in a room of 50 people. They're qualified. I have time to finesse them. I have time to have one-on-one appointments with them. I don't need a lot of people. I just need the right people. Now we do events with 600 people and we'll close $1 million. Okay, would you rather do 50 people for $500,000 or 600 people for $1 million? I'd rather do 50 people for $500,000.
Yeah.
Because now I have more intimacy. I'm able to really see who they are. This isn't about me. Like Susie's a great speaker. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I'm a little seasoned, right? So I've been doing this for 30 years. My ego's already been built, right? I've cried because people didn't like me and I've celebrated because people like me. Right. I have standing ovations. That feels good. But what really feels good is when the light bulb goes on and you do something different in your life.
As a speaker who facilitates powerful action in the form of people signing up for your programs and you getting great closing rates, in the form of students getting results, what does it take as a speaker to flip that switch and get your audience, or in other words, what makes a speaker effective to create that kind of action? What's your secret? My secret sauce is case studies. Okay. So this is not about me. I might use myself as a case study, but most of the time I'm highlighting students. I'm highlighting their results because it's not enough that I can do it. I have to make sure that you can do it. I can make sure that Kathy Kidd can do it. I have to make sure that Esther can do it.
right? Looking at here's where they were before, here's where they were after. And that works in any business, right? If you look at as a health coach, here's where they were before, here's where they're after. Business, here's where their business was before, here's their after. Speaker, here's where they were before. You know, and there's different ratings, right? At first you want at least that approval, right? You get we rate on a scale of 1 to 5, right? So you have a 4.9 in your speaking, right? Then you want to look at closing percentage. Then you want to look at what are the ways that we're going to rate that and show before and afters. So people can see themselves. I make sure that I look at my audience. If it's primarily women, then I'll do women and I might share one man story. If it's both, I'm making sure that I'm getting men and women. If it's a diverse crowd, meaning there's different ethnicities, I'm gonna make sure there's different ethnicities, right? I have a large African-American community because I was in that community for 10 years with Lisa. And so if I'm just showing white people, they'll be like, she's not my coach, right? There's different barriers that you have to get over, right? To go, and if I'm a woman, I've got to make sure that I'm showing men's successes because sometimes it's hard for men to be coached by a powerful woman. And then a woman that's feisty and blonde and, you know, there's stereotypes to go. So I have to show, here's this man, here's who he is, right? One of my most successful man students worked for Goldman Sachs and a powerhouse in finances. And he wanted to be a speaker and really learn how to convert rooms and sell rooms. And great story, powerful man, high ego, very accomplished, you know, being coached by me. Here's his before, here's his after. Right, so read the room. That's why it's so important when you're working with any show promoter, who's in the room? What ethnicity is it? What age group are they? Because if I'm just showing seasoned people, right, and then I'm gonna miss my younger entrepreneur crowd. If it's a bunch of young entrepreneurs, I'm gonna show, here's a startup business. And I look at 3 different kinds of people. For me, I'm teaching business, right? So I'm looking at someone that's just starting, someone that's at that $500,000 mark, and then someone that's over that million so that I'm reaching everybody in the audience. They can see, oh, she works with startups. Oh, she works with accomplished. Oh, she can get me to 7-8 figures, right? So vary it up and use those case studies as your credibility. A lot of times speakers, we feel like frauds, right? Because we don't have all the answers.
Right.
But allow your client testimonials to be your credibility, right? Allow them, like you've got people, whether you were doing it for free, right? Because a lot of us started as coaching for free. Take those case studies, get testimonials and case studies with every single client that you work with. That will be the bread and butter in the bank. That will be your best-selling story. If you look at my website, I've got tons of them because I want you to find yourself in it, like a needle in a haystack, like, that's me, right? To see yourself in that transformation.
So good. So client testimonial, not testimonial, case studies.
Case studies.
That showcase. And what's so brilliant about that, I think, is that you get to celebrate your clients, you get to promote your clients, and you get to, you know, shine a beautiful light on them. That's great. And to include those, and it's a great tip about you better match your audience with your case studies.
Yes. Don't be a lazy speaker, right? I see so many speakers being lazy, and we know some big name speakers that are lazy. You know those speakers, you go in and it's the same story for 20 years. You're like, dude, really? You don't have a new story? Like, I get it's a standing ovation story, but I'm tired of the story. I love you as a speaker, but I'm tired of that story. Don't be lazy, right? Do the work. This is our craft, right? 15% of our financial success is our technical ability. You got to be a badass at that 15%. I got to be good. I got to be a great speaker as much as my business acumen. But if I can't keep your attention.
Well, Susie Carder, as a single mother hairdresser turned badass entrepreneur, you are also a master of your craft. I will say, as a public speaking coach, I am hard to impress. And even from the beginning, that come up story is just so good. I mean, but so well told. You know, you're a performer, you're an artist, you're a speaker, you're amazing. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I would love to continue to ask you questions for hours. Maybe we'll have you back on the podcast. I'll ask you one quick question. We've just got about 2 or 3 minutes. How are you pivoting and how are you advising your clients to pivot in light of the coronavirus lockdown? Being a speaker, speaking in rooms, now we're all on the digital stage. How are you shifting?
Woo, we're all shifting, right? So I had in that first month, 12 events canceled, right? And so this is book launch year.
Right.
So our book tour was canceled. Our book was pushed back, right? So, it's the tsunami. And so we said, okay, well, we do just like this. A ton of our business is online. So I have my own events in February, June, and September. And so we're keeping the one in June, but we just pivoted to virtual, right? We just finished our Make It Rain Summit, which is all about, giving content so people see the value. So June 26th, 27th, 28th, we're doing the Big Money Business Summit, and it's all online. So I'm using all my students. So instead of me being on the computer for 8 hours a day, right, 6 hours a day, I have all my global leaderships students. So I've got 12 students that are talking about their come up story, how they created a multi-million-dollar business, right? How they started from a side hustle to a 6-figure business. And so we're just pivoting to take it online, right? I'm doing more podcast interviews. I'm doing more virtual training, still doing the same thing, still doing my invitation to purchase, right? So if you don't have a clear invitation to purchase and you don't know how to seed your audience, you won't make money in this business, that's your expertise.
Invitation to purchase. That's excellent. I haven't heard it said that way.
It's an invitation. What we do as speakers is we go, oh my God, I have this great event coming up. So excited. You need to come. That's like having really great foreplay and going, okay, I'm going home. Well, wait a minute. You can't go home right now, right? It's like, let's make the invitation to come to the party. Make the invitation to come to my campus. Make the invitation of me transforming your life. I need to transform your life. You got to come on campus so I can transform your life. You can't sit over there. You got to come over here. Right? Like invite people to play and get a powerful yes or a powerful no. My job is to educate. Your job is to choose. You get in front of the qualified buyer, they will choose, right? We're grown, right? We're savvy. Benjamin Franklin said, take the coins from your purse, invest them in your mind. Mind will fill your purse overflowing. This is not the time to stop your education. This is not the time to cut your coaches. This is the time to invest in your mind, because where else have we been in lockdown? Where else have I had 40 hours a week in silence, 40 hours a week to find my client, 40 hours a week or more? To go, how do I seed into my community? How do I support my community? We're doing a bunch of free stuff, right? We're giving away stuff to get people on the campus because we know that we'll convert them. Come to my campus. Come see what we have to offer. Come play with me. Come experience me. And then let me transform your life and let me transform your business.
So, Susie, for those who want to come experience you and play on your campus and get more connected with you, where can we send them?
Really easy. It's my name, Susie Carder. C-A-R-D is in dinero or dollar, E-R. Because we're about the money, honey.
Very good.
So you can find me on Susie Carder and all my social handles. I'm the profit coach. Right. And you can go to my website and you can find everything that we have there. We've got a bunch of free stuff, a free business assessment that you can look at. Where's my business right now? Right. So you can see, I want to give you a roadmap, right? Whether you choose to hire me personally, come into our campus, play, just take action, right? And be radical about your future. This business is a game changer. I have the life that I have because I stepped out and risked. And I said, I'm going to go find some people, right? So I want you to go find some people and make a profound difference right now. This is our time. We have a captivated audience. Don't think it's not your time because you can't be in front of them personally. I'm touching you right now. He's touching you right now, right? So my charge to you is take radical action to your future. Take radical action and step up, step out, be courageous and outrageous.
Amazing. Be courageous, be outrageous. And go check out Susie Carder with the D like dinero. She is the profit coach. All right. Thank you very much. And thank you, dear listener. We'll see you or hear you in the next episode of the Expert Speaker Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Expert Speaker Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating so that more people can discover the Expert Speaker Podcast and so more people can be empowered to share their message. Be sure to go to www.expertspeaker.com and take the masterclass to learn how to grow your business and make money speaking. It's totally free and will change your business. If you're ready to work with Expert Speaker, you can apply. Just go to expertspeaker.com/apply, and someone from our team will be in touch with you to help you grow your business with public speaking. That's expertspeaker.com/apply. We'll see you in the next episode.